So now here's time for a little discussion. Anybody have any ideas of what potential applications for this kind of an immersive learning experience could be? What about you, Selby? I know you have some ideas.
Well, yeah, turn on my voice and then you can hear me. Yeah, well, actually, basically, one of the things you're testing right here, if you're working with students, you are actually requiring them or asking them to read instructions and carry them out.
I know that there are people who actually, there's one group of people, two women who came to me a couple of years ago asking for some help in getting the Cedar Farm scripts set up for them. They actually created an herb garden, and they were using it to teach the medicinal use for holistic medicine.
And finally, I got my voice, and I was going. I already said, but not you didn't hear. One thing you're doing if you're dealing with students, you are teaching them to read and follow instructions. This is a totally new talent, I believe, because most people, when they get instructions, are not able to read them, and that's well established, and read and follow them. So this is actually would be excellent practice for people, for students to learn how to do it, to read and follow instructions.
Yes. Well, it's also good for team building, because even though they each did their own quest, these objects are interactive because none of us are wearing group tags, and I made sure I rezzed all these objects not in a group, so that anybody visiting can interactively use these objects, and they can use them as a group. Like, you could have added one ingredient, and I could have added another, and Selby could have added a third, and Lori could have been the one to, click make and do the recipe. It's all interactive in that way. If you want to control it, you can actually res everything under a group, and then anybody that's a member of the group could then interact as a team. So it helps teach teaming skills as well. Yes, absolutely. It can be collaborative. It just depends on how you set your permissions. So let's go to the skills quest. All right, now we're going to tour the gardens and see if you can find the animals and learn the names of those animals, and also find Data 4, which is our fourth Data for this tour. So the gardens are in this direction. Selby is already walking them. So, any questions? Any ideas? Anything you want to chit-chat about? Selby's mic is live, but I don't hear you say anything. You got any comments, Selby?
Oh, well, I think one of the things that is valuable from a data that looks like a person is, of course, that attracts attention. People pay attention to people very quickly.
Yes.
And so, and they, even though they know it's not real, well, they actually know our avatars are not real, but they know we're behind them. The data can give them information, and the thing is that the data will always give the same information. So the data will not forget to give a particular piece of information that people need. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There are lots of different instructional methods in here. Quest-based learning, project-based learning, situated learning, immersive learning experiences. Everything is sort of, all in one. But I did this because I wanted to have an area that would demonstrate the potential that we have in virtual world for learning real-world processes, for interacting, for teaming, for collaborating, for networking, in addition to various real-world processes. I can't think of anything that would not be able to benefit from some level of virtual instruction. But Selby makes a couple of really good points there. One is that you don't have to worry about misinformation from an individual who may be sitting around as a greeter. They may not explain things the same way every time, whereas Adita will. And the additional thing that I plan for the Aditas 5 through 8, not only will they have more intelligence, but they will also be able to send me an email or a message if someone needs further help than what the Aditas can provide. And so that way, they can be in touch, and I can follow up with those individuals.
And so the objects can be, the Aditas can get smarter if somebody asks a question they can't answer or don't answer satisfactorily. You know about that, and you can fix that if you want to.
Correct. And also, as I mentioned earlier, each of these Aditas can also do other things. They can give landmarks, they can give objects, they can give note cards. Aditas are NPCs that are specialized, just like all of the garden attendants are NPCs that are specialized. Yes, I based a lot of this work on the Setter Farm project, but I modified that so that each of those garden attendants don't do all the same thing. One of them is only the one that goes and checks on the corn, and another only checks on the trees, and so on. So the same concept applies to the Aditas. You don't want all the Aditas to be the same. You want them to be different. But Selby makes the second point, which I think is really important, is users interacting with a box is far different than users interacting with a Adita that looks like a person. If I'm going to interact with a chair or I'm going to interact with a sphere, that's an entirely different level of immersion than interacting with an NPC that looks like another avatar that, even though I know it's not real, it still feels more comfortable. We begin to personify the NPCs. We refer to them with pronouns. We don't refer to them as an it, or at least most of us don't. Some do, but most of us don't. We refer to them in whatever gender they present. Right?
Yep.
So we're personifying these NPCs in the environment, and that actually helps create the level of immersion that we want them to experience.
And by the way, for the grade school, or actually maybe K-10, you don't have to use a human. You can use a dog.
Right.
And or you can use an animal that's relevant to the instruction. I think the kids will go well with kids. They may like to talk to dogs better than they do to adults.
Yeah, and another thing that would be popular with kids is R2-D2, right? They know R2-D2 from Star Wars, and being able to talk to R2-D2 or another type of robot that they may remember from another series or movie or something, this allows them to have some familiarity, and that's the other thing that I do with my builds. I always try to add some level of realism and familiarity, whether it be windsocks or life preservers, where I place the helipads, the size of the helipads, the warning markings, all those things that are familiar in the real world environment. By adding those components into the virtual environment, I am actually creating a higher level of immersion for the users to experience. So that's kind of all I have, and I hope you all enjoyed it today.
I thought it was very useful.
And this place is open 24/7. You can come back anytime. You can bring your friends. You can show other people. You can fish. You can dance. You can relax on the beach, ride the jet skis. And this region is a 4x4 region. There's a lot of content here, a lot of freebies here. So feel free to come back and explore anytime. And if there's something that you need that you can't find, feel free to message me, and I'll see if I can help out.